Welcome to Immediate Review.
We're reviewing Martin Scorsese's fucking 70's films.
Yeah, there's too many Scorsese movies to put them all into a single review.
Yeah, we were like ranking 25 movies where we each talk about it for like 3 minutes. That's gonna be the longest. No,
we'll break it up, and then we might do like our top 10 favorites at the end.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I would not mind doing that. But Peter has never seen any of these movies.
Yeah, that's why it took so long since our last ranking videos. I had to watch like 6 movies in order to catch up and be able to do all the 70s film. We're also including his one movie from the 60s.
From the 60s. We're including Who's That Knocking at My Door. We are not including short films. We're not including documentaries because it's just hard to rank a documentary next to a live action.
It's very true. Yeah.
So, without any further ado, let's get to it. You wanna start us off?
Sure, yeah, I'll start us off. Okay, so my number 6...
Oh, by the way, we haven't told each other our rankings.
Yeah, we never do, so
all right.
Yeah, gotta expect that.
Hit me!
Alright, our number 6, or my number 6, is Boxcar Bertha.
Dude, mine too. Okay,
yeah,
so
I had a feeling that yours would be as well, so we'll talk about them both.
I'd like to start this one. Boxcar Bertha gets too much shit. Yes, it's at the bottom of our list, but I think it's at the bottom of our list just because it doesn't have as strong of character themes and everything else as the other films. But people always look down on this like, Martin's exploitation film. Oh, he moved on and he is so much better now. And it's like, yeah, but this is Martin Scorsese's exploitation film. And I fucking love it. I think it's a fun little Bonnie and Clyde ripoff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's how I felt about it too. I just think that, like, stylistically and just like the overall the movie for me is just like kind of forgettable and whatnot. Like I don't really remember like how it ends. But I just love
it. Ends with no spoilers for this whole video. Actually, no spoilers for the ending. But
I don't really remember exactly how it ends. But it's like I liked the ride. I really liked the characters that were involved. It's funny every time I hear, but like before I saw this, I would hear the term Boxcar Bertha, and I think of like a traveling transient prostitute or something like that, and it's like it kind of starts out like that, and then it's like, oh no, they're in love. She's not just like doing that to anybody in the boxcar,
I think the movie honestly has pretty strong like socio-political commentary. It's not mindless by any means. And
it's kind of about how like your status reflects how people see you and whatnot, and like judgments, and like I really like that. Our two main characters, Bill and Bertha, are like they have this kind of like black friend that they hang out with, and everyone hates them for it.
Yeah, it like portrays racism in a real way.
One of the main reasons they have like turmoil at different stops is because they're friends with this guy, and it's like I don't know. I appreciate the realisticness of it.
And that character also too isn't a side throwaway character just so people can like say racist things at. He has a heavy impact on the plot, and by the end of the story is one of the most important characters in the whole film, and it's all done so well. Roger Corman was an amazing producer, and Boxcar Bertha's fun.
It is. I enjoyed it, but it's like there are better ones.
Yeah,
Scorsese,
without a doubt there are. I'm just like I hate how people like hate on it.
For sure.
Okay. Number 5.
Who's That Knocking at My Door? So I actually really, really like this one. The script is fucking strong as fuck. Like, almost Tarantino-esque at certain points. Like, in the 60s, it was like, this like, script blew me away.
The scene when they're talking about John Wayne.
Yeah. Like, that whole scene, I think they're at a train station and whatnot, and it's just this long take between both of them. Like, it's like something like 10 minutes of the movie or something like that is spent like right there, and it's like you get a sense of this like dynamic and their kind of relationship building. Like, it isn't the standard like they met at a train station and they both looked and they were both attracted and they're in a relationship now. It's like this was like they had chemistry, And I think that the main negative of the movie for me isn't with Harvey or a main thing at all. It's all about the contrast that they're trying to build with Harvey's group of friends, because he's trying to just like try to pull back away from this girl when he finds out, you know, what he doesn't like about her, essentially, and be with his friends. And it's like the stuff they talk about is fucking pointless, like the whole time. But that's the reason that they're supposed to not talk about it.
Yeah, they lead pointless lives.
They are literally just drunken kids, just fucking around, just doing shit. And you know, I like the contrast of like he had a clash with a societal issue that he couldn't accept, and then turned against it, but didn't have the right mindset about it still, even after being confronted with it.
All right, so I'll say my piece on that later. My number 5 is Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. So this movie is a lot better than I remember it. I always liked this movie, but it was just one of those flicks like I would never watch unless it was directed by Martin Scorsese. But yeah, my God, Ellen Bernstein delivers such a fantastic, just genuine performance where you really feel for her character the whole time. And I love that it's not a heavily plotted film. It's just a little slice of life, just a little slice of this moment in her life. There are no, you know, I don't, you know what I mean? There are no plots or events or like things that need to be resolved aside from just like she's got to live her life. That's what needs to be resolved. She's just got to live and be happy. And I really like the simplicity of it. And you know, it still feels like a Martin Scorsese movie. He gets a chance to be a little stylized once in a while, and he really lets the camera just you know, look at the characters, and the actors are able to convey everything without saying a word sometimes. And yeah, Alice Doesn't Live here anymore is great.
Yeah, that one is man, it's hard for it. Had some heavy themes, man, that was just like each time it'd come up, it'd just be like, fuck, man, this sucks.
It's
what
raw. It is real.
Like, yeah, it is so real, and I loved that about it. And yeah, I'll give a little more discussion when I talk about it.
Hell yeah! What's your number 4?
All right, my number 4 is, and I honestly I kind of feel bad about this one being on the lower end of the list.
But, don't feel bad.
Mean Streets
is that's my number 4.
Okay, cool. So that makes me feel a little better. So yeah, I really like this movie as well. Robert De Niro coming in with Harvey Keitel, so we get this awesome duo actor dynamic, which is great.
The debut of Robert De Niro in Scorsese's filmography. Like this is a historic film. Like it really sets the tone for his future films. And yeah, go on.
And this one feels just so stylized like Scorsese, and
it's his most personal story too.
Yeah, and it's very like ingrained in the nature of New York, and it's got a great message about like, you know, choosing like personal responsibility over like negative friend groups and whatnot, and like how choosing the wrong people to be around you and to be your friends and whatnot can be like, having friends can be a huge negative, and people can pull you down and cause you to not live up to the potential that you're supposed to reach. And it's like, you know, you gotta make smart decisions and be with people who are gonna push you and drive you to be the best person that you're gonna be. Because yeah, if you stagnate, like bad shit can happen. Like
it's very similar to Who's That Knocking in that sense, but this one has just more meat to it. The conversations they have, it's random shit mixed with the plot that's going on and stuff that's happening to their characters.
Yeah, the cutting to like Harvey and hanging out with like De Niro and that group is very similar to Harvey's interacting with friends in Who's That Knocking, but like you said, they talk about things that are actually important, and like their communication, and like the fact that Johnny isn't paying his debts is like a, you know, it's a major, like it is the plot basically, you know. So it's like yeah, the fact that they're talking about that and Harvey's constantly pushing him to try to be a better person. It's like, I guarantee we've all know that person that fucking, you know, acts exactly like Robert De Niro does in this movie.
Exactly. And
it's like, you gotta like not be that person for one, and you gotta like, you know, sometimes some people aren't worth saving.
Yeah. And this movie also, it established Scorsese's needle drops, you know, tendency for slow-mo. I mean, just like all the, I mean, Who's That Knocking at My Door had the slow-mo stuff too, but just like everything's here. This is like the blueprint for what people know him as. Yeah, it's fucking excellent.
Who's That Knocking had needle drops and stuff, but they definitely weren't as like iconic. They kind of just like happened.
No Rolling
like,
Stones.
And you're like, and yeah, I think the weirdest one is the sex scene that you just kind of like throw into the middle of
That's
it.
the best one.
My number 3 is Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, I really like this movie. Like, this movie, like, if I hadn't watched, you know, the two that are in front of this, it would have been number 1. Like, I was blown away by it. I think the only like real negative was the fucking little kid. God fucking damn it, that little fucking kid.
I think he isn't like, it's like
he's annoying as fuck. But there's a reason.
It puts
like,
you in her shoes.
No,
you
does,
totally
like,
get why she like can't stand the kid, because you can't stand the kid.
No, yeah,
like,
and it's like, I'm so surprised.
Shoot the dog! Shoot the dog!
I'm surprised she didn't like throw out a you're just a little shit like your father, you know, shit like that. But yeah, this movie, man, is just like, it just goes from like, you know, kind of happy melancholy to just like fucking real and raw, like quick. It's a fucking roller coaster ride through the whole thing. And it's just about this like woman trapped in her own like systemic loop of life.
Yeah,
and
she's in her mid-30s, just got divorced, and it is the early 70s.
Yeah,
like,
she has no idea how to live without a man, and literally doesn't know how to even get to that point, and it's just watching her go through the fucking cycle, and man, it is devastating, but man, is it shot fucking well. And I don't know who the actress is, but she sings very well.
Ellen Bernstein.
I do like her on piano, and man, there's one shot in the restaurant where they have this kind of like swivel bar, you know, where the bar is like in the center of the room and it's kind of like rotated all around, and that camera fucking swoops along that thing, just like turning and just keeping eyes. It is such a cool fucking shot, and just like you said, like has its times to be standard and has its times to be super stylized, and I really, really liked it. Harvey Keitel's in it as well for a small performance.
You were really just like, he's such a nerd.
Yeah, like he is totally like nerdy and shit. I loved it, but then yeah, the nature of men in the olden times, yeah, this is a consistent with Scorsese in general, is men are portrayed, at least in this section of films, as very animalistic and like predatory and just like act on instincts, violent, and like honestly, I appreciate it.
All his movies are commentaries on that. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah, and I you know, getting introduced, it's like it was very surprising to see like how demonizing he made guys out to be. Even back then, you know, where like that he wasn't even trying to sugarcoat the behavior of just like, oh, you know, it's all fine. It's like
it's all fine.
You know, like they would it legit gets like fucked up and shit at certain points, and it's like, you know, he's honest about it.
I think what separates Alice too is in all the other films, we're seeing it through their eyes, and it's a character study. To where, you know, we see how they got down this horrible path. But in this one, we see it through her eyes. And we experience it, you know, we don't see Chris Christopherson on his own. We don't see Harvey Keitel on his own. We see everything through her eyes and know what she knows. Yeah, that's one thing that makes this movie distinct, but still part of Scorsese's themes. My number 3 is Who's That Knocking at My Door? So Obviously on a technical level, this one's probably the weakest, but like, what I love movies where I love early films from directors where all they have is the streets they know, a couple friends, and a camera, and it's just seeing how much they can do with so little. And I really think Who's That Knocking at My Door does quite a lot for a like no budget 60s film that some kids like fresh out of film school made, and it's inspiring in that sense. Like when I watch Who's That Knocking at My Door, like I want to grab our camera, and fucking shoot some shit. I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those movies that inspires me, and I really I like the conflict in the film between Harvey and his girlfriend, and yeah, like you said, the dialogue, it's snappy, and there are times there were a lot of times we were questioning if it was improv or not, and I was watching behind the scenes features, and it was all dialogue, and it's just like it is top notch acting. And yeah, you mentioned the scene with the girl in Amsterdam. It's so just experimental and artsy, and just like I don't know. It's inspired by Martin Scorsese's love of French and Italian cinema.
And it's like, when did this come out?
And
67?
Yeah,
like
and the Doors playing in the background. One of the best uses of the end. Yeah, I find it to be an inspiring film, but I think on like an objective level, it should be 5 or 6. But yeah, Who's That Knocking?
I think this one's going to be the most shocking to everybody, but yeah, my number 2 is Taxi Driver.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you can just, yeah, it's like I loved this movie. I just like, there's the, if you're familiar with the other movie, it's like it blew me away.
It's it's probably his most popular film. Second, third, maybe.
But yeah, so Taxi Driver. So I really like this one. Like Robert De Niro's fucking like breakout role, basically, where he like, it was like, here he fucking is.
One of them. Godfather Part 2. Yeah, he won an Oscar. I'd say that's his big breakout.
Well, it's like, I mean, everybody talks about the like talking to me.
Yeah, he leveled the fuck up.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like he stepped up, and yeah, this is just a well shot, stylized, gritty kind of like a gangster flick about a guy who is just fucking on his last like legs and doesn't really know what to do with his life, and is just being influenced by all of these things around him until he finally fucking snaps, and has to take matters into his own hands. And it's like, yeah, it's very relevant to like what's going on right now. And
it is.
It's like, it was you end the ending kind of similar to Mean Streets in a way. But I really liked the kind of like color shift that they kind of do when he's like going in during the final climax is like very very cool, and just gives everything this kind of just like climactic, like shit is fucking going down type feel to it, and it just feels dark and gritty and like hopeless in some situations, and just like, yeah, like really way more modern than I thought it was gonna be, yeah, obviously the Joker took some inspirations from it, but,
a lot. Yeah, Taxi Driver. Cinema.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 2, New York, New York. It's really phenomenal. This was the one out of everything. The 2 that I hadn't seen in the longest were Alice in New York, New York, and New York, New York is exponentially better on my second watch, because I really like what this movie does is it combines the old school Hollywood with Scorsese's new school style of filmmaking, and takes your like traditional in like musicals and stuff, you know, the guy who doesn't take no for an answer, and like if she turns you down, just keep pressing her and stuff. And he's got that whole like I don't know, like 40s, 50s, 60s character archetype, but it's not portrayed romantically, and it becomes a Scorsese critique of the flaws of man. And I think it just is wonderful in that sense, and it's such a love letter to musicals. Like, you could just feel Scorsese's passion and just love for movies in general. And it's also love for music in general, because we get lots of just extended jazz scenes. Like, I really feel like this part of the fact that we like it so much is because we're musicians. I can really see like 25 minutes of this movie is just watching people play a song with no vocals.
And it ain't overdubbed fucking music either. Those drummers are actually fucking playing, like doing fucking crazy ass fucking rolls and shit. It's like, it's all 100%, not one shot that I saw where the music did not line up with what people were playing.
Yep.
At all.
It was impeccable.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like, Jesus Christ.
And Liza Minnelli, she's a goddamn star. She's so fucking good. She'd already done Cabaret and all that jazz and stuff. And this is one of her kind of overlooked roles, and she's so splendid. Robert De Niro, we get to see him rocking the fuck out on a saxophone.
Yes.
And I'm shocked more filmmakers haven't written in some obnoxious excuse to have him grab a sax or something. Cause it's great. And you know, like I was saying, with combining the new school and old school, in terms of the storytelling, Scorsese also wanted to do this with the sets, where just everything is like a Hollywood musical soundstage, and sometimes they make it so purposefully fake, and it almost gives it like a fairy tale quality. And New York.
So yeah, I mean, if you didn't know already, my number one is New York, and yeah, this movie, man, just like,
I'm glad you liked it so much.
I fucking loved it, dude. I was just like, this movie blew me away in every way. Like the cinematography was like way better than I expected. The music, way better than I expected. The acting, everything was just completely elevated to a level that I did not anticipate going into it. And it's just like, the story is incredible, you know, like you said, the flaws of man, and like the flaws of men in general.
He's
and
like, you can't do that, count, sister.
You know, like, and
just so jealous and raged.
Yeah, and like, you know, that's a good word for it. It's just like jealousy, and like just seeing, just like, you know, having ambition and aspiration and seeing someone else achieve all the goals.
The movie's totally about like he's jealous that she's a woman achieving more success than him.
Exactly, man. Yeah, and it's like, you know, like you said, Liza Minnelli just fucking kills it. She can fucking act, she can sing, she can dance, she can fucking do it all, man. She's just like, she is the center focus of this film, and it's just like, it like, if anybody else, I don't feel like they could have done it as well, because she just has that fucking star power that is just like,
she's got the emotional acting as well, like when it needs to be serious, like
and her facial expressions too, like when he's first approaching her and whatnot, she is like scared and shit, and she's like showing that and all of that, and it's like, you know, just, yeah, her arc of just like being this just fucking ball of dough that just you can just knead and fucking throw around and treat like fucking shit, and you know, abuse and fucking just do whatever the fuck you want to, and she's just gonna go along with it and improve your career at the same fucking time, and at the end of it she's like, fuck that shit. And I just like, yeah, seeing something like that being made back then of like a fucking woman like achieving more than this envious fucking douchebag that literally just wants her for this superficial fucking, like, all of the talent and glory that she brings forward and value that she has as a person, he doesn't fucking care about at all. He dislikes it. He's like, you're better than me. I don't like that. Instead of fucking building her up like he fucking should. And it's just like, I am like, the fact that she makes it and he's just fucking like, man, that ending, man, when she's fucking just, so fucking good, dude.
One of my favorite aspects of the movie is that there are times when they do have chemistry and it almost feels like they love each other, and it's only when they're playing music.
Yep,
it's the only time. The moment the song's over, you just see her face fall. You see him kind of just like not give a shit,
and she just shuffles off, and it's just like kind of like the whole time, even when they're like together, she's kind of just like get away from me type guy, like, you know, just like he's a creepy predator and she's just kind of going along with it because that's the stereotype of, you know, oh, when guys do this, when a guy dips your hair in ink, it means he likes you. When a guy relentlessly stalks you and refuses to hear what you're fucking saying, that means he loves you and you should marry him. It's like, like seriously, that's like the lessons that they fucking taught women for the longest goddamn time. And for this movie, puts it on fucking camera and says, really? Is that actually a good idea? Really? You think so?
And I also don't think Scorsese's trying to condemn the reality of it. I don't think he's trying to retroactively be like, oh, all those movies are bad because the characters like this. He just knows. He's like, that if I'm gonna use the musical archetypes and the character's gonna act like that, and I'm telling a story based in this new 70's realism, I gotta show it how it is, which is bad.
Yes.
Yeah. So, my number one, motherfucking Taxi Driver. Oh, I
had a feeling this would be.
I don't mind that you put it at number 2. It's like, number 2? How dare you? But Taxi Driver is just fucking iconic. Probably one of the most important films of the 70's. Like, if I had to make a time capsule and I gotta save 10 70's movies and all others will be destroyed, Taxi Driver's going on that list for me. And the watching Travis go through this hypocritical journey of just he's always he criticizes basically the New York nightlife. And he just like hates the scourge and the scum of the street. And he thinks, you know, all the pimps and prostitutes, they're disgusting. And, you know, they're sexual and gross. So what does he do? He goes to porn theaters every night. It's just, he's a very like flawed, hypocritical character who almost doesn't understand how to socially interact with people. And when he goes to take her to the movies and he takes her to a porno and she's just shocked, you feel bad for Travis. There are a lot of scenes where you really feel it has the perfect balance of feeling bad and sympathizing, but also being like, dude, you're like a fucked up psycho. Like, it's just it walks that fine line so well. And you know, I did not see the ending coming when I first saw it, and I think it's always a surprise. Like, did you?
Do you want me to say what I thought?
No, just general thoughts. If you
so I mean,
if you were surprised or not, just
I knew that a violent event was going to happen, but the victims of said violent event I did not expect to be who, like, I thought it was going to be a completely different group of people.
Exactly. And the movie brilliantly baits you with all of that. Scorsese's got a really interesting perspective on the ending. Actually, I really don't want to spoil it just in case people haven't seen Taxi Driver. But
yeah, I hadn't seen it, so it's like there are people out there who haven't seen it.
No,
so like,
a lot of
we're
people's
not
philosophy is
spoiling.
it's just like, oh, it's old, fuck off, you should have seen it already. And it's just like, if a twist is not iconic, I fucking do not want to spoil it. Cinema is forever. But go look up what Martin Scorsese thinks of the ending, because it's interesting. So yeah, that's Scorsese's 70s films. Next we'll be doing his 80s, then 90s, and then we're going to combine the 2000s and the 2010s, just because he only made a handful of movies in each decade.
It'll be easy to just combine the two. And then, just let us know if we should do our top 10 at the end. And
check out our Irishman review.
Yeah. And if there's any other director kind of filmographies you want us to review and kind of put on our list for the future, let us know as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. We'll see you guys later.